Welcome to Nintendo Dads, episode 477, recorded on May 9th, 2024. On this week, tongue-tied, on this week's episode, we go backwards. We talk about what we've been playing, we talk about Nintendo news, and we go whichever way we want to go. Jesse, you know what to do.
What's up, everybody? Episode 477 of Nintendo Dads. Man, it is May the 9th, 2024, just 6 days until my birthday. That's right.
Woo!
You notice next Wednesday. I'm expecting it. A whole lot of nothing. That's what I'm expecting. Don't expect anything from my birthday. Don't even want to turn the age I'm turning. I don't even want to say it because...
Oh, come on. It's not that bad.
Oh, it's 44. It's awful.
It's a good number. 44 is a good number.
Yeah. I guess it's a good number. I don't know.
I'm going to be 49 in June, so it's not that bad.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, when you turn 50, Tim, we will do something for you.
Yeah, you guys will start sending me things in black and...
We're going to subscribe you to AARP.
I'm already subscribed, by the way, actually.
Can we get a Nintendo Dad's AARP? Like,
discount?
can we all use it? Can we,
Yes. I actually got a discount on my phones because of that. And my...
We need to talk about that because I need a phone discount.
Yes.
Well, we got a ton to talk about tonight, but as Tim has already mentioned, we're doing the show in reverse. And you may say, why in the world are we doing the show in reverse? Well, because if you didn't know, Nintendo released their financial numbers this week. And usually when Nintendo releases their financial numbers, it's like a bat signal for Justin to be on the show. And he unfortunately had something come up during the day with one of his daughters in a rugby match getting moved. And so he's had to not be here right now, but we're hoping he can join us by the end of the show. But until he does, Tim, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm excited because there was a lot of stuff from Nintendo this week. So I was like, we're gonna have stuff to talk about. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. Jesse and I guess parts of Michigan as well this week, we're under the gun for severe weather. It seems like there's been like severe weather somewhere in America every day this week, or for the last 2 weeks or something. But all of us are okay. We did have some folks in our area that today had some trees down, things like that they had to deal with. But one of the good things, I took today off because tomorrow night I get and I'm putting this in air quotes if you're listening to us on audio only, I get the privilege of running the video game station at something called Project Graduation, which is after graduation from our local high school. They call me and they're like, hey, we heard you're a big nerd that likes video games. Would you like to come and run a video game station from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m.? And I was like, no, I wouldn't. No, I said yes. I was like, absolutely, I'll do it. So I'm taking two giant TVs and an Xbox One or Xbox Series S or X, whatever, and a Switch. We're going to get our Madden on and Mario Kart and Smash. And yeah. And I get to eat all the food that they get donated to, which is great.
Yes.
Because like every restaurant around here donates food. So there's like tacos and pizza and burgers, and
That's awesome.
I just don't get to win the prizes. Like they give away prizes, and I just don't think that's fair.
They should do, if you're a volunteer, they should have a volunteer raffle.
No, I graduated once, so I'm eligible for the prizes, right?
Okay, yeah.
Sure. But anyway, I'm going to go help with that. And then we have like last weekend and this weekend and next weekend, we have so many graduation parties to go to, which is okay. That just means like, I take that as a sign of like, hey, we like you.
Right.
So we want you to be at our graduation party. So yeah, it's been a good week. was thinking of anything else good. Oh yeah, I got a Neo S controller from Cracked.
Ooh.
I got the Famicom Gold one, the one we're giving away. Actually, we'll talk about that here in a minute. But I also pre-ordered a Nitro Deck Plus
Ooh.
because I'm a sucker. But no, it's actually because I use my Nitro Deck every day, every
Right.
day. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's gonna be
Mech,
interesting to see how that feels compared to the original
yeah,
Nitro
I'm
deck.
excited. I'm excited for it. It ships
Yeah.
this month, correct? May?
June. Oh
Oh,
no, wait. Maybe it is this month
it
because
said May.
June is the
The bag.
Hellboy one.
Yeah. Mecca asks if Project Graduation is some kind of after party thing, and yes. So the official story about Project Graduation is that it was created by schools to keep students or to provide students a safe environment that did not involve alcohol and drug use following graduation. And they give away prizes in hopes that they will partake in being at Project Graduation instead of going out and celebrating the other way.
Right. Good.
So
Good
yeah,
on them.
yep, absolutely. So Jesse, how about you, man? How you doing? Good to see you.
I'm doing pretty good. I finished my class. I got the highest score in the final, and I ended the class with a 98.8%.
Wow. Does that mean you are the valedictorian?
Of one class, maybe. I don't. But so the if I want to sign up for the next class, though, there's a little bit of a hiccup. They even though I took a math placement test to see where I would need to go, and it says, "Oh, you are good for calculus, my friend." Uh, which I've already taken calculus twice, once in high school,
Nope.
once in college. So, um, but uh, so I thought that'd be, which is like a math 241, and the prereq for the second class is a math 130. So I figured this would be enough, but apparently I have to actually be enrolled in a math class to count. So I talked with my electronics teacher, and he says that should be enough. Talk with the math chair and see if they can give you credit for that. And I had a reply with, uh, copying my electronics teacher from he's also the electronics chair. So I have like the two head teachers of their respective apartments emailing each other, and it sounds like it's up to my teacher to allow the override or not, and he doesn't, and the math teacher doesn't care. So sounds like I'll be good with taking this next class in fall,
Nice.
which if I do, then that would start at the end of August and go until like the first week of December. If I
Nice.
did have to take a concurrent math class, I would sign up for the calculus class. I would do the online lessons, which has 3 Wednesday night on-site testing nights. Other than that, everything else is online. But sounds like I don't need to do that. So which I'm
Uh,
hoping not.
I was
I don't want
wondering
to take
about that.
I don't want to take another math class.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if there was any way to talk to anybody about that in the departments or,
Yeah. So
so that
there's
works.
still emails going back and forth between the two department chairs, but it
Okay.
sounds like things should be good for me to sign up for the next class without having to take a math class.
Nice. Very
All right.
cool.
Well, guys, like we have already kind of mentioned, and Tim has alluded to, there's a ton of news this week, but there's also a ton of other stuff been going on in our lives and around the Nintendo Dad's world. So we're going to shake things up this week and head over to talk about what we've been playing. All right, Tim, you played nothing this week, according to the doc, but I know that's not true. You're always playing something. So we're
Yes.
going to start with Jesse first, actually.
Sounds good.
It's keeping you on your
Okay.
toes. Uh,
So a game came out today called Battle Minesweeper Online. It's normally a $4 game. It's currently half off, so I bought it for $2.
mm,
Uh, the game is extremely bare-boned. Like the opening, the title card, the loading screen has like no graphics at all. It's just text.
Yes.
So it's, really already
This already sounds like a Jesse game.
showing its quality. So you say you want to do a ranked battle. So it while it's searching for an opponent, it's letting me play the game. It's kind of like a practice mode to learn the controls and whatnot. Whether I win or lose in this practice mode has no impact on my score. Is it not even flash animation? No, not really. Like the only thing that isn't like a normal text character is like the images of the bombs and the flags and the explosion if you lose during play. So, and after about 2 minutes, it times out, and I have to choose rank battle again, and then it oddly jumps me back into my practice game that I was on. It doesn't even start that over. But after about 20 minutes or so, it actually connected me with someone else playing. My opponent was named Angel, and we played a few games. I won most of them, and then I disconnected, and I logged back in maybe a half hour later, and connected with Angel again. So as far as I know, we're the only two people playing this game. But we played another like dozen games. I think I won maybe just under half of them. But at one point, it does start giving me a ranked number, and if I win, my ranking goes up. If I lose, it goes down. I think it starts here around 5,000. I got down to in the 4,800s. I'm now up to like in the 5,100s, and there is a global ranking leaderboard that could be brought up. It's like I think I'm in like 86th or 85th place when I looked.
All right.
The way that it does the scoring is we both play on the same board at the same time. Kind of like when Tim and I we did 2-player Picross. It's kind of like that. So
Okay.
whatever, we see each other's actions and can play off them. If one of us hits a bomb and loses, then the victory goes to the other guy. If we complete the board without anyone losing, then there's a scoring system. If we open up a square adjacent to a bomb, we get 1 point. If we open up a square that is not adjacent to a bomb, we get 2 or 3 points per space. I don't remember. And then the one with the most points gets the win. So like his Angel's strategy was to just try to hit as many squares as possible, not even stopping to flag the flags, which I have to do because I need to visualize the flags. That's why it slows me down a little bit. But that also makes him more, risky. And, like half the games I won because he hit a bomb, not because I scored more.
So you have to be fast.
You have to be fast and accurate.
Okay. That's what I was afraid of.
Because they're color coded. So like if I hit a square that isn't a bomb, it shows in one color, and if the opponent opens a square that's not a bomb, it's in his color. Then that helps. Then that's how that's how it's scored. The one thing I don't like about it is there's a thing called cursor collision. I don't like this. Like if he's on this square and I want to go onto the same square, it locks things up for a second, and it won't actually let me go onto that square. And in fact, I lost a match because I wanted to like mark a flag on one square and then activate the next square, but because his cursor was there, I couldn't move to it, so I ended up hitting a flag and then activating that same square and losing because I knew there was a mine there, but I couldn't get off that tile. So I'm like, that's kind of stupid. Why would it let me do that? And then it counts the number of cursor collisions and tells me how in my stat screen tells me how many times. I'm like, that's the stupidest stat. I don't understand why it would do
That just
that.
sounds like something that they messed up and then they decided, let's make this a feature.
Probably. Yeah.
It's easier to
Anyway,
make it a feature than patch it out.
Right.
right. Yeah. So I will give this game another try. Hopefully, more people are playing it.
So
But
if
if
you're
I try to,
listening out there and you like Battle Minesweeper, or you like Minesweeper, you check out Battle Minesweeper online. And
What I'm imagining is developers are sitting at home right now and going, we've made $4 from
right.
some guy named Laugher and some guy named Angel.
well, you'll
So
have to play those people who are around the world too.
yeah. So the top scores had rankings in the 6,000 and 7,000s. They are all Asian Asian names. So I don't know if this game was available in non-North American before it was here.
Mm.
Um,
You're gonna have to play a late game and see if you can
You're
join
just, yeah, I
in.
was going to say, you're going to get up at 3 a.m. and log on and see
Yeah.
if.
right. It also gives the ability to make a password game. So, like, if I wanted to play with Tim, I can host the game, create a password, and he could join it. I guess I think that's how it's supposed to work.
Is
But
it all just online? Or is there any kind of like single player
there's
training or anything like that?
no, I wouldn't say no, it's not. It's a training, but it just gives you while it's trying to matchmake you, it just gives you games to play as a
Okay.
practice for no benefit.
Okay. All right.
That's pretty much it.
Gotcha.
And yeah, and I would have expected the controls to be, either A or B. One marks as a flag, one marks as activating the cell, similar to Picross. He's either marking it as a solid square or marking it as an X. But no, B is still cancel.
Okay.
Are you sure you want to stop matchmaking? I'm like, so it's the X button that activates the flag.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, that's a weird. I don't know. I wouldn't have picked that, but that's what they did. I don't know if Y button does anything.
Hmm.
But anyway, so again, I'll try that one more. Hopefully, I match more than one person. Hopefully, I match anybody.
Okay.
Okay, and then I've been playing more Persona 3 Reload. I was hoping to be done by now. I am not yet done, but I like the final battle happens on January 31st, and I'm on like January 23rd or something like that. So I'm within the last week of the game. I'm just kind of doing some last minute grinding for to power up my persona and level up my main squad. My son says I should be fine at the levels I'm at because he beat it at a lower level, but he was also playing it on easy mode, where I'm playing it at normal. But I do want to fill up more of my persona compendium before actually finishing it. So by this time next week I should be done with that game, and I think I'm at around the 85-hour mark.
Nice. Are you trying to get done for something else coming?
Nothing specific, but we'll talk about games that are coming later.
Right.
But really, the next game on my radar is Thousand Year Door.
Okay.
That's
Gotcha.
in two weeks.
Yeah, I was going to say literally just 2 weeks, pretty much, right?
Yep.
It's hard. I mean, like I didn't really realize that it was that close. So anyway,
Yep. And
Tim,
I am planning on taking that day off of work, and since I'm getting it from the Japanese region, like I'll be able to do a Thursday afternoon stream.
very cool, very
Nice.
cool. Tim, what you been playing?
Some more Endless Ocean Luminous. I did a stream of it. So it was cool to just kind of get people to come in and hang out and kind of see what it was, what's been going on. I've been playing a lot of it, actually, good 7 hours of it, I think, or maybe close to 10 hours now. Just going around scanning fish, getting to learn about some of the ocean stuff. Plus, there's some made up fish too, obviously, in this game. But and the other part of it too is not just finding fish, or sea life. It's also finding artifacts that are in there. And one of the things I really like doing is the exploration part of it and finding like sunken um, artifacts or sunken sites, or even like ships I saw, like, which was really cool. Or caves that you can go in and find some secrets in there. So it's the exploration part's pretty cool and very relaxing. I mean, you hear the ocean kind of in when you're wearing headphones. You hear it in there, like if you were actually underwater and the music playing and all that kind of stuff. So it's really relaxing. And then also I did play it on our living room TV, which is our big screen house TV, that everybody watches stuff on. So that was really nice to see this, nice big screen playing the ocean on and all that kind of stuff. It looked really good. So you can go check that out. There's a first play by Solo or first look by Solo, and then there's a let's play by me via stream under our live section that you can rewatch and see kind of like some of the things I discovered there. Again, it's I know it's been a love-hate game for a lot of people, but I've been enjoying it. I also been playing more Geometry Survivor. So like Marty, you talk about Vampire Survivor. For me, it's Geometry Survivor. So I jump into that and play that a lot whenever I want something a little bit more faster paced. So that's been a lot of fun. And I know we got plenty of videos of that out there, of that game. And then before the show, I was playing some Little Kitty Big City, which came out today. I got to play that, and there's a first look of that out going tomorrow morning, or by the time you're listening to this, if you're listening to this on your podcast, there should be a video of it out there by that time of a first look. And it's so far it's exactly what I thought it was when we saw it, the video for. It's kind of like the Untitled Goose Game kind of feel plus Stray type of feel with the cat, where you're going around the city trying to, complete some tasks and get things done so you can complete your mission to get back home. And so far, so good. I've only played about an hour of it, so I'm looking to play some more this weekend. We'll probably play some more sorry, I'm thrown off by the rugby t-shirt that Justin's throwing off there. No, so I'll probably be playing a stream of it more this weekend. So keep an eye out for that. I'm gonna try to do a stream of that as well to show off some more of the game because, like I said, I only did about 30 minutes of it, and then I played a little bit more after that, where I'm collecting things, but learning some more about the game as well that I'd like to share in a stream. So playing those 3 games this past week, and then on deck I have Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle Chomp Champs. Is what I have on deck. I'm hoping to play that tomorrow night for Friday night NSO with Chris, and maybe, well, Shannon won't be able to make it, but it'll be myself and Chris and anybody else who wants to come join us in the Discord. We'll be playing it there, but also streaming it. So if anybody has Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle Chomp Champs that came out today and want to test it out, come hang out with us and do that there in the Discord.
It's a mouthful for a title.
Yeah, I know, man.
And Mega Tunnel Battle Chomp Champs.
Exactly.
2D Knuckles.
Jumps.
Right.
HG. Yeah, so
Galaxy Edition.
Galaxy Edition. Justin, if you have Justin's joined us, by the way.
Yep.
And we're thankful he has. Justin, if you didn't know, we rearranged the show for you so that you could react to the numbers, because we love it when you react to the numbers. And there are actually, funny enough, there are lots of people who like it when you react to the numbers.
Oh, sure.
So we wanted to be sure that you got a chance to do that. But we would love to know what you've been playing this week, because that's what we're in the middle of right now.
Yeah, so I have been playing some more of another Crab's Treasure, which I'm solely loving, which I'm happy about. They just put a patch out today, actually, so I'm excited to see what the patch will look like. But I'm going to be honest with you. I get to the boss battles, and we talked about last time the accessibility functions within it. And sorry, you might hear some sound in the background. I'm getting my dinner ready here. But if I go to a boss battle and I lose 5 times back to back, I just go straight to Krill with a gun. That's it, right? I'm just gonna boom, one shot it and be like, cool, we're good here. And then I just like take the gun off and I just move forward. And so that's the way that I'm playing it, and it seems beneficial. I like it. I finished Planet of Lana, and it took me about 4.5, 5 hours to do. Again, I talked about it before. If you like Inside, if you like every time I forget this. Limbo, thank you. If you like environmental storytelling through or storytelling through environmental stories and puzzles, this is a really great game. Really, really loved it. I thought it was really, really great, and I recommend it. And then Tales of Kenzera Zayu, still playing through that. It's interesting. I was saying before because of the Prince of Persia, it just feels different. It feels it just doesn't stand up as well. The thing I've sort of discovered is that like the things that Prince of Persia did really well and refined, I think like the ability to flag on a map and the ability to zoom in really well and lots of good boss or enemy encounters is absent in Tales of the Tales game. Because what I end up seeing is I will go through like several scenes in the game where I'm just running and there's no enemies. And so it feels empty. The final boss, like the big boss battles are complicated and multi-stage and fun, but to get to those, there's just a lot of like empty platforming, if that makes sense, right? And occasionally all of a sudden they'll put you in like a challenge room essentially where you can't get out and there's like 6 bosses to fight and you fight them and then you can proceed. And so those moments are kind of sparse in between, and everything else sort of just feels very
Do they have a
empty.
one-hit kill gun in this game?
No, they don't have one in that one. That'd be great though. Like that should be something everyone does now. But those are the games that I've been playing. On the docket, I'm excited for Braid, which is coming up next week. That was one that I have never played, but it's definitely been.
It was supposed to come out last week.
A couple weeks ago, yeah. Well, I know that you had said, "Oh, it's coming out this week," and I was like, "No, it got pushed last minute. I don't think you saw the note."
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's okay. So, but yeah, that's sort of stuff I've been playing.
Yeah. So just to follow up from last week, still playing tons of Vampire Survivors. I don't know, but like I loved this game when it first came out. I was playing it on iOS and then switched over to Switch to play it there because that's where I wanted to play it. I like a controller. But this has really got its hooks in me over the past week or so. I think it's because it's like so easily accessible. Like you just boot it up and you dive right into it. You play a level or two. Most levels have like a 30-minute time limit. If you can survive that 30 minutes, you beat the level. But there's also things to find. Like I unlocked a new character by finding a coffin in the level that I was playing, and you fight all the enemies around it, and then you can open the coffin, and it says the vampire you're looking for is in another coffin.
Nice.
But then you get a character that you can pay to unlock.
Right.
So the new DLC came out for that today. The Contra DLC, and the Among Us DLC is new too, is out. I have not actually gotten to those because I'm playing through the stages in order. And to get the Among Us characters and the Contra characters, you have to find them in coffins. Like the initial one, you have to find in a coffin in their level. One of there's a mock-up of one of the Among Us levels, like maps in there. And then there's also a stage called Neo Galuga, it came with the Contra one. And so you find Bill, and then you start unlocking Contra characters by doing different things with him, or completing different challenges and finding weapons and things. So it's just, I don't know, like I just really am enjoying it. And I mean, it's super cheap, $4 or $5. So, and it's very arcadey. It's very one more run. And I've gotten to a point where like I've upgraded my character permanently, and anyway, the other game I want to talk about is a game that came out today that I was super excited about, and that's Animal Well. And we actually have a video of this that is going live at 9 p.m. tonight. So I think it's already out. So I did a first look at this right before I started recording the show, played about 25 minutes of it ish. And y'all, it is awesome. It's so good. Very, like I know that I say, like, I make a lot of comparisons. It's like this and this had a kid or whatever, but it really is. So like Metroid, this is like a blend of Metroid and Undertale and Pitfall and a boy and his blob. all rolled up into one with like this really kind of somewhat spooky-ish neon, grainy CRT TV effects and stuff. It's super atmospheric and it's so well put together. I was anticipating this just from the previews, but in playing it, just for those 25 minutes, like I can't wait to dive back into it. Like I'll probably stay up a little bit tonight playing it because it was like it's so simple, but it's also like you can see the layers to it.
And it's scoring really well. Like IGN
Yes.
gave it a 9.
Yes.
I've seen some thumbnails, and of course, thumbnails are clickbait of like game of the year contender.
I honestly thought that. I was like, this is going to be in my top 10 for the year.
Wow.
But like the way the graphics look, the only way I know to describe it is like you've got those scan lines like a CRT TV, and everything's like neon, like against a black background. And it almost reminds me of that old Vectrex system that was out like in the late 70s, I think early 80s, where you slid the colored like gel plastic screen in front of the game. It was black and white, but the colored gel made it different colors on the screen.
Yeah, kind of like the original Space Invader arcade.
Yes, it pops off that black background like that. But like what starts as like a black background, like as you progress, like you start finding more areas where it's very layered into the background, and there's like animal statues and weird stuff going on. And so that's why I'm saying it's like kind of spooky in an Undertale-ish way. So not like super, like I haven't had any jump scares, let's put it that way. So, but like just that creepy feeling of like something's off here. So yeah, I'm really excited to dive back into it. And I want to get Little Kitty Big City, but I think that's going to be one I'm either going to wait a while on, or I've got some other games in the backlog that I really need to finish, like Tears of the Kingdom, that I just have not gotten to yet. And I want to play Planet of Lana. Eventually would like to do another Crab's Treasure, but I'm going to wait, and hopefully some of those go on a big sale. I hate to say it that way, but like there's other stuff coming out. In Thousand Year Door is coming out soon. So I really want to dive into that as well when it comes out.
I just looked at the Animal Well Metacritic, and it's that the Switch version alone is 90. All of them aggregate together is 91. Yeah,
it's definitely should be on your radar if you are a Metroidvania fan, or you like puzzle solving type games. It is platformery, I will tell you that. Like it's jumpy. So, but thankfully the controls on it are really tight, and so if you make a mistake, it's kind of on you.
Wait, like a Toyota.
Yeah. So that's what we've been playing. Justin, since you're here, I'm going to call an audible.
Yeah.
And we're going to go straight to the news.
Let's do it. And go ahead, Marty. Sorry,
no, go ahead. What were you going to say? Okay, so
he can't say anything now.
In his mouth. So anyway, our news is brought to us each and every week by you guys over at patreon.com/NintendoDads, where for as little as $1 a month, you can subscribe to be a part of the greatest collection of humanity on the internet, which is really saying something, because there's so much bad. Nintendo Dads is like a beacon of light in the middle of all of the darkness. You can get in for as little as $1 a month, gets you in the Discord. $5 gets you the whole slate of sub channels. $10 pre and post show audio. $30 gets you on the show as a Patreon producer. And there's all kinds of stuff going over there, like monthly mayhem. There's parenting boards, food boards, console specific boards that aren't Nintendo, right? Like there's all kinds of stuff over there. So go check it out at patreon.com/NintendoDads. Diving into the news, let's talk about the biggest story of the week. Nintendo's latest financial numbers, which were released, I believe, yesterday, correct? Or was it Tuesday? Tuesday. So let's run down some of these really quick, and then we're going to get our business analyst, Justin Masson, to put on his suit and tie and talk about a little bit about this as he gets on the floor tonight. Nintendo Switch sold 1.96 million units between January 1st through March 31st worldwide for a total of 141.32 million units sold. That means that it is now the third best-selling video game console of all time. Gentlemen and ladies, that is a huge accomplishment. If you think back to 7-8 years ago when nobody thought that Nintendo would recover from the Wii U, right now the only consoles that have sold more, and these are both home and handheld consoles, the Nintendo DS at 154.02 million, which means it's sitting at just about 12.7 million to go ahead of Switch, and PlayStation 2, which Sony just, conveniently fudged the numbers on right before Jim Ryan left, to 155 million, meaning that it's 13.68 million.
Well, I think he hinted it could be closer to 160, but it's been 155 for many years, and that's the number we're still sticking with, because what his 160 was this kind of nothing official. It was just like off the cuff conversation. It sounded like a high estimate. We don't know. They don't know. I'm sure they know, but they're not telling us.
So the good news in this, and the big news, I think, in this, is that sales exceeded the increased 2024 fiscal year forecast by 200,000 units. So the forecast was increased to 15.5 million last quarter for a total of 15.7 million in sales. Of course, the thing to kind of gauge this by is that this is down 12.6% from last year's fiscal year sales, with OLED sales increased by 1.1% over last year. The forecast for this next year, now keep in mind, this next year being now through, April 1 through March 31, 2025, is 13.5 million units. Which would put it
still more than the Wii U sold.
Yes, it will put it just shy of PS2, but it's still the lowest selling hardware numbers in 5 years. But the highest number of users ever for Nintendo Switch, which is up to 123 million users from 116 million last year. Software, guess what? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still number one, the number one selling Switch game of all time.
No way.
Also, you probably wouldn't know this. You probably would have guessed Mario Kart 8 Deluxe still a number one. But you probably wouldn't have guessed this, that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has now become the highest selling video game of all time. It is the number one selling piece of software ever, at 61.97 million units, according to an article from My Nintendo News.
That doesn't sound right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said it wrong. It is Nintendo's best-selling game ever. Nintendo's best-selling game ever.
Okay, are they not including games with pack-ins or something?
Here's what it says. It says that Mario Kart 8 has not only become the best-selling Switch game, but has officially become the best-selling game that Nintendo has ever released. The only game that sold more than this is technically Wii Sports, but the number is considered a bit of technicality as it was bundled with the Wii in some regions.
Right. So they're talking about the highest unit sold that wasn't a pack-in.
Yes.
Okay.
The highest Nintendo. Yeah. So
I'll buy that.
It depends on if you want to count pack-ins as sales or not.
Because Nintendo traditionally does.
Semantics. Animal Crossing still in at number 2 with 45.3 million. Smash at 34.2 million. Breath of the Wild at 31.15 million. Mario Odyssey at 5 with 27.96 million. Pokemon Sword and Shield 26.2 million. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet 24.9 million.
I think they still have a chance to actually pass Sword and Shield this year.
They probably will. DLC may drive that. Super Mario Party at 20.66 million units. Tears of the Kingdom at 20.61 million units. And New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, the game that nobody said would sell at all, 17.45 million units. And I'm not going to run down this whole list, but I do want to announce this. 67 first-party games are million sellers. And that includes newly released Princess Peach Showtime, which sold 1.66 million. Crazy. Crazy.
Well, I'm not sure where that number was released, but at the end of the fiscal year, the counts was 1.2, so that was like 10 days on sale.
Yeah.
Which beat Mario versus Donkey Kong by 100,000 units.
The last number I want to throw out here is digital sales equal 50.2% of total software sales for Nintendo, up from 48.2% last year. We turn now to analyst of the year, Nintendo Dad's business, Justin, to give us a breakdown. It's easy to look at this and go, wow, Nintendo's doing really good going into the twilight year of the Switch.
Yeah.
But what do you take away from this?
Yeah, I mean, so folks, buckle in, because it's going to be a real journey on this this news week. Because by the way, if you're a Nintendo fan, this week has been really good for you, right? If you are a video game pundit or anyone else who watches the video game industry, or even specifically, I'm going to call out Xbox, it's been a bad week. Yeah. We're going to talk about that also. There are so many things to unpack in this meeting that ended up occurring. Let's talk numbers first. Let's talk about the fiscals, and then let's talk about the announcements. Let's then talk about the rumors. Let's talk about all the pieces that fall out from it. Here's really, I think, something that's very evident here. Nintendo still feels incredibly confident in the hardware sales they are going to see in its twilight year. This is pretty amazing, actually, that they still have those projections. I think the reality, and I think when you put it in the Nintendo Dad's notes, I think you will see the Switch actually pass the PlayStation 2, right? Because we do have to remember when the Switch 2 does come out, there is still a tail. There are still people buying it, all of those pieces. What's driving on a final year of a console, and let's be blunt, like the president said, we are actually talking about the new one next year or the next fiscal year. So that would usually temper sort of expectations regarding hardware sales, but these hardware sales are still pretty aggressive. So it makes me actually think of a couple things. You're probably not, you've probably got some maybe software that is going to be very much a hardware driver to be able to purchase that, or you've got a special edition hardware that's on the way out, or you're reducing costs, you're reducing pricing.
I was going to say, is there a price drop in?
That's how you're probably going to do that the final sale pushes. So really three things. Either software is going to really drive it. And I don't know if there's anyone who's been like, man, I've been holding out for 7 or 8 years for a Nintendo Switch for this one game that's going to drive it. It may end up being something like a Super Mario Galaxy 3, right? Like that would be that might get people back in the door. That could very well be part of it. I think the other part of it actually could be potentially some of the remasters that we're hearing rumors of, right? So maybe I've left Nintendo and maybe I had a Wii U and I'm not super great, but didn't love the product. Oh, remastered Wind Waker. Oh, remastered Twilight Princess. Oh, these are interesting things. They might move the product. And then I think obviously a collector's edition, right? And so I'm gonna softball maybe one. And Tim, I don't want you to get too excited here, but maybe there is a Metroid Switch SKU that they are going to put out, right, in relation to the launch of Metroid Prime 4, and really sort of move some of those units, especially more in the collector's market. Then it's not necessarily I've never bought a Switch, but now it's really collector's market movement. And we sort of did see this last year as well. So if you go back to thinking about the Switch lights that they released over the holiday period, there was a Isabelle one and there was a Tom Nook one, different colors that were not released typically for the light. Animal Crossing was bundled into it, right? And there was a special like little art design or something on it, right? So I think that's where Nintendo's going to end up seeing the movement is specialty SKUs to really move that. Again, and I want to be clear here, I'm not thinking they're doing like a Switch Lite OLED. That's not it. Right. I'm literally saying what they have on the shelf, they're repainting it, right? To essentially try and move those needles. I think, this was I think again, the digital was a very interesting thing, increasing up from 48.2 to to 50.2, and we're only a 2% increase, but we're continuing to see the movement towards digital. The president of how do you say it?
Furukawa.
Furukawa did actually make comment this recently that they will continue to do physical media, physical hardware, or physical software into the new Switch 2 successor. So I think that where we're seeing some more of the other organizations such as PlayStation and Xbox move away to being only digital platform, I think Nintendo will still very much be in that space. Their numbers, I mean, 2% jump over the year. That's not enough to really say like physical's dead, right? And I think especially for an organization that is very aimed at family, aimed at sharing and kids using it, physical media I think works well for them. That also helps boost their software sales a lot. Fair enough. If you have to buy 3 copies of Mario Kart.
Yeah, I was going to mention.
I'll take a question from games journalist Marty Estes.
So I was going to mention that as you talk about sales and everything, that there was a tweet that came out earlier this week that had a bar graph chart of Nintendo's profit by fiscal year. And this just blows my mind, even when I'm about to say Nintendo's profit during the Switch era has surpassed their combined profit from 1981 to 2016.
Yeah.
And that includes inflation taken
inflation.
into.
Yeah. So like this is, and so this is sort of the people are like, why haven't we got a new Switch 2 yet? Right. All of these things, because they're doing very well. And they are we're going to talk about later about businessing and the human element of it and the human loss element. But Nintendo's got a hot hand, right? Like we are not going to mess this up. And I think and so this is sort of maybe transitioning a little bit. So I think, like my numbers results are this. They're doing really well. It'll be very interesting to see if they actually do meet this hardware statement. I suspect they will. I suspect the tail will inevitably surpass the PlayStation 2. When it gets really close, you may end up seeing like Jim Ryan show and be like, actually, it's 163, like fudging, like really, really caring about those numbers, or all of a sudden like trying to regenerate them. But I think they are so close to being the number, like Nintendo saying we are the number 1 selling console. They're a humble company, but they're not humble enough to not chase that. Right. And so they are going to, they're that close. You just keep pushing, keep pushing. So they're going to, price cuts, SKUs, maybe software, but I don't think software is going to move.
Yeah. Actually, going back to that bar graph that Marty mentioned, of the, 43-year history or so on there was only 2 years where they had a loss.
Yep. Yeah.
So the Wii U was bad, but it wasn't catastrophic.
Yeah. I think, and so I think overall really good. And I think Marty, you called out earlier, like the fact that 67 first party titles over 1 million. That's incredible. No shock, Animal Crossing is still up there. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. If you add that in with like the numbers from the Wii U, it's something like 67 million, or I think it might actually be 69 million. Like it's just something ridiculous.
69 sounds about right.
Yeah, it is absolutely bonkers. I always look at like the top 10 and like look at how many are Pokemon games, right? And so I think that's just Pokemon. It's just such a killer for the platform. It's such a generator. The one that always sort of shocks me.
Actually, before you go there, looking at just 11 through 15, so just past the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu Eevee, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, Pokemon Legends Arceus. So in the top 20, there are 9 Pokemon games.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. I think like even Nintendo can sort of use some previous data to sort of traject potential buy rates. And so I think of like, let's go down to like Luigi's Mansion 3 sold 14.25. Is it safe for Nintendo to say, hey, we can expect maybe Luigi's Mansion 2 to sell? Now it is a remake, so maybe 10, right? Like take off a 25%.
It's also a remake of the game that is considered the low point of the franchise.
For sure. But I mean,
I would think maybe 5 might be a target.
Yeah, it could be, right? So I think they've got some good projections. I think overall, great sales update. let's now talk about what was said, right? Because this is the really cool stuff. This is the like, this could not have gone better for Nintendo in regards to a communication marketing beat. Like, this is clear as day, right? And so let's go over to the tweet that was sent early morning.
And this was like a 3 a.m. tweet.
Yeah, 3 a.m. tweet for us.
Can
This
I say,
is for
like, I'm
go
going to
ahead.
throw this out here as you're about to say this. Like, I've seen so much, I won't say flack, but people making fun of this. Like, who puts out a tweet at 3 a.m. about their new console and Nintendo going to. Do people realize what time it was?
It's like 2 in the afternoon in Japan.
Yeah,
it's business hours.
That is such a lack of a globalization viewpoint of the world.
Yeah.
And no, like, it was posted on the NCL Twitter account.
Yeah.
That is, the target is Japanese investors,
correct,
not us.
Yeah. So I love this, right? Like this, if you want to have like a master class in clear communication and expectation setting, this tweet does it all, right? This is for a fear.
And I love the last sentence of this, but go ahead. Furukawa-san tweets.
Furukawa, the president of Nintendo. We will be announcing the successor of the Switch during this fiscal year for the first time in 9 years since we announced the existence of the Nintendo Switch in March 2015. Perfect. Here's what he just said for those of you that don't know. Between April 1st, or actually more effectively, between now and March 31st, 2025, at some point, we, Nintendo, are going to tell you what the successor to the Nintendo Switch is. Y'all good? Good. Moving on, right? And then he says, we'll also be holding a Nintendo Direct in June. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. That answers our next question, which, by the way, I called this a couple weeks ago, right? Where's my
Everybody
Justin with a right bumper, right? But it says, we're going to do a Nintendo Direct in June to announce Switch software lineup for the second half of 2024. Perfect, because every pundit is going, what are we playing for the back half of 2024 on the Nintendo Switch? You're not telling us anything. He says, mark your calendars in June. We're going to tell you it. That's all you need to know. And then says, but this will not include the successor model. This is the do not expect to hear anything about the Switch successor at this Direct. It is only software. Please do not misunderstand.
Please understand.
This is clear. This is crystal clear. Now, does this mean that he has said the Switch 2 successor will not release in 2025? No. He's telling you that between here and the end of the fiscal year, they will show it. Awesome. This tracks with everything that we have heard. Everything we have heard is that this is sort of the tracking. Likely, and also it's like this also a couple things. This is likely the last Nintendo Direct, potentially one of the last Nintendo Directs that we will see for this Switch. They may have one later in the year, right? But I doubt it, because we're going to start that transition, right?
And even then, it might be a hybrid showing games for both.
It might be a hybrid. This could not be clear. I was so happy with the statement. We have now set guidelines. We have set parameters. The other interesting thing that he did say in a follow-up conversation is that the Switch is more of the successor is more of a Switch 2. Great. Right? So this talks about, yes, they understand that they have something hot. They are not going to fiddle around with it. They're viewing it as the next Switch, the next step up. Lovely. That answers all that for us.
Which is what we all wanted.
All what we wanted. Now, here's the really interesting thing. The sales numbers for hardware that they're projecting, right? That 13 million, does that include the successor Switch?
They didn't specify.
Right? But is that possible that that's included?
Well,
right?
I'll throw this in there that I think there was a tweet that came out later, or there was a quote from Furukawa who said what was coming was, quote, Nintendo Switch next model.
Okay, yeah. Yep.
Many people believe that what we're looking at for the next Switch, as we've said many times, would probably be an iteration, but I think that the fear that I have with that, as well as many other people have, is that the last time there was an iteration from Wii to Wii U, it bombed.
Yeah.
And so whatever they do, they're going to have to navigate this very carefully.
Yep.
Because of the juggernaut that Switch has been, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be, it can't just be Nintendo Switch Plus.
The problem with the Wii U was people were getting sick of the Wii. People, I don't think, are getting sick of the Switch in that same way.
No.
No, but there's so many other things on the market now that do what it does.
But I don't think anyone does it better.
No,
I'm not trying to fanboy, but I don't think anyone does it better. And the price point for those other things, like a Steam Deck, is high.
Price, then yeah.
Yeah.
But and I'm not trying to throw them under the bus
like
at all.
$500 to $700 more for the Steam Deck.
I guess what I'm saying is that Switch came in at a really unique time. It was a really brand new, fresh concept that drove a lot of light and heat in the beginning. If some of what we've talked about, like magnetic Joy-Cons and different things like that, is true, then I think that's a great, a big enough iteration, right? Especially if it's more powerful.
Yeah.
However, I just I think that I really think one of the reasons that they're taking so much time here is because they're trying to make sure that they hit it just right.
Yeah. And have enough numbers for the devices so they can sell.
Yeah. So it's not like last time where it's people waiting, for the trucks to unload.
Yeah. And today there was actually a leak regarding some of the specs. Now, again, so this is sort of the rumor mill, right? Because now we can confirm there is the existence of it. We sort of know when we can get some information of it in some time frame. Just as an FYI, I'm actually really thinking they are most likely going to mirror the Switch One's announcements. We're going to see something in October, late October. We're going to have a special presentation in January, and we're going to see it launched in early March. I think they're going to follow that exact same cadence, which is fine. Yeah, and so what that allows for them to do, interestingly enough, is like they're able to say, we're going to show you what it is in October. We're not going to talk about it until January, which means you're still going to want to purchase games in the late part of the year because there's still stuff coming, right? And so,
and the system's backwards compatible
and
too.
That's what they may show is like the backwards compatibility of it, right? And then you're like, cool, then I'm good to go.
Yeah. Still not confirmed, but everyone's hoping.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So a couple of things that did end up hitting sort of the leaking rumors this week.
I saw information from a company who's kind of tracking shipment invoices.
Yeah,
I don't know how the hell they're getting that information.
Yeah, but, okay. So this company dug into shipment and customs data between Nintendo, Nvidia, and other companies. Their findings suggest the Switch 2 will have. Jesse, I'm going to ask you to help me here because you are a tech guy. So I'm going to throw things at you. 12 GB of RAM with 2 times 6 GB LPDDR5R5X modules. The RAM will offer 7,500 MTS transfers and have 256 gigabytes of UFS 3.1 storage. These are real words on a page, people. I'm not making this up.
I don't know what all of those mean, but basically it's the memory is, how like the memory speed of a PS5 versus PS4, right? The memory's faster, the storage is faster, so load times are faster.
Yeah.
One of those numbers was probably GPU memory as well.
Yeah, it may not be to that extent, but things will be faster with the Switch 2 versus the Switch original.
Yeah. So you got the memory there, and then there was probably GPU memory for graphics, and then there's the speed of that communication for the memory.
Yep.
That's what a lot of those numbers I think were throwing out there.
Yeah, like DDR5 memory is considered faster.
Was there any news about folders?
It was a whole paragraph just by itself. Just folders.
Oh,
yeah. So I think so. from the Switch rumor perspective, again, I think we're sitting pretty. I think I'd love to sit in the pocket here and chat with you gents about the Nintendo Direct, right? That was announced for the end of June, and they said it'll cover quarters 3 and 4 of the year, and sort of talk about what do we suspect. And I want to make maybe a bit of a thought here. I know we're going to bearing the lead here. I am actually shocked that the NES World Championships were announced this week. I actually thought they were going to put that in the Direct. And so I was a little bit shocked by that.
Do you think that they did that because the rating and everything had already leaked? And the whole name of the game was out there. It wasn't just, Nintendo World Championships. Pioro tweeted about it and had a cartridge image.
No, I think the
whole thing was out there.
I think it was planned. This was a good news week for Nintendo. This was a great news week for Nintendo holistically.
This at least gives it about a 6-week cycle between announcement and launch versus 3 if they waited until the end of June.
Yeah. So as I look at this past year where we have gone, we've seen one original Nintendo, not a remaster remake published game. Princess Peach, right?
Yep.
That's been it.
This year?
This year, yeah. Because we had
fiscal year, or
I'm talking calendar year. Another Code Recollection was a remaster. Donkey Kong and Mario was a remaster. Princess Peach was new. Nothing in April.
Endless Ocean is like a sequel.
Endless Ocean's a sequel, right? Paper Mario is a remake. Luigi's Mansion's a remake. The NES Championship, it sort of looks like NES Remix. Like it feels like
this is an NES Remix.
Like we're kind of scraping some things and saying, "Look, I made a pizza," and you're like, "Ooh, I don't know." If
we had 2 new games. Endless Ocean is a new game, regardless of it being a sequel. It's still a new game.
So I would sort of argue that I think that the back half of this year is going to be very similar. I think we are going to continue to see a fair chunk of remakes or remasters in the next last 6 months of the year, with some standout examples of this is not a remaster or a remake. And this is sort of, Tim, I think where Metroid Prime 4 will show up. I do think it has to show up at this Direct. And I do think we will see it. And I'm going to suspect it's going to be in the October timeframe, similar to where they launched Dread. I'm gonna kind of suspect that.
I was gonna mention, which do we think is going to be the last game for the Switch? Because Pokemon Legends ZA has already been announced as 2025. I can see that being the you brought this up in the sales numbers. Pokemon has done extremely well on the Switch. Is that the final first party game?
Well, we also know the Professor Layton is coming. His game coming in 2025. We don't know if Nintendo will publish it or if Level 5 is going to publish themselves. Nintendo has had a history of publishing their games in the past.
Yeah, I think Pokemon may be the final one again, and Marty, I'm under the assumption that comes out the end of January and we get a Switch 2 early March. Right. And so essentially you're about 4 to 5 weeks without any big new title, which isn't, I think, crazy. And then you end up hitting with a good lineup. I suspect this is where we're going to start to see a couple of those floating rumors that we've heard all year, right? We've always heard the Wind Waker remake. We've heard the Twilight Princess remake.
Yeah, we've heard Metroid 1 and 2 We've been hearing that for remakes. 4 years.
Right. And so I wonder if it's sort of listen, these are actually been sitting on the folder done for a while. And so we're just gonna pull them off the docket. We're gonna stack the year with remakes. We did finish Metroid Prime 4. We did talk about it 7 years ago. Let's release it now. Congratulations.
Let's go.
There's also 2 new rumors, or 2 new games that were mentioned via rumor this week, that Nintendo has issued new trademarks for 2 Wii U games in Australia, or actually 1 Wii U game and 1 3DS game. Kirby and the Rainbow Paintbrush and Stretchmo have been given new trademarks. And the article that I'm reading this from says that these are not simple trademark renewals. The older trademarks still exist. So these are new trademarks for Stretchmo and Kirby and the Rainbow Paintbrush, which those are 2 very odd titles, very random to just say, you know what, they need a new trademark.
Yeah.
Especially one that is as touchscreen heavy as.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Stretch Mo I can see, but the Rainbow Paintbrush needed a stylus.
Yeah.
Also, going back to the Metroid game 4, there's two scenarios. There's the Metroid 4 coming out, Metroid Prime 4 getting a trailer or whatever in June, which would be fantastic. Finally seeing something and then getting dates and all that fun stuff. But I also could see a scenario where it doesn't. Maybe they still do a trailer or a teaser trailer, but we don't get any announcement. But we do get, here's a trailer, and then here is a remake of 2 and maybe even 3 together of Metroid Prime 2 and 3, because we still never got those. And I've speculated that it's possible that we still get those individually.
Yeah.
And that buys more time for 4, as much as I would love to have 4, and maybe it ends up being on the new console. I don't know.
I think it's going to be sort of like listen, it's been 7 years.
Right. It was promised for the Switch, and I think they're going to bring it for sure.
And I wouldn't be shocked if we see something like, here is when it comes over to the new Switch, it upscales in a certain way or something like that.
And that's what I was saying last week too, is like, could Nintendo do something significant where it's not 2 different SKUs like we saw for Breath of the Wild, but you can use the same cartridge in the new system. And then, like you said, it'll upscale automatically, and
or it'll automatically detect new hardware and download the enhanced assets, which is one of my predictions.
Yes,
I think it's a very exciting time. I do think this is, this is exactly what I wanted to hear from Nintendo. We're acknowledging its existence, and they had to, right? I talked about this last week. They have to acknowledge it in some way. The question's going to come up, is it a successor or is it a new model? He answers that clearly. He tells us when the next Nintendo Direct is. He tells us what's going to be in it. I think this is just clear cut, easy for us, right? And then I think for us, I think this year it's going to be a year of remasters. It's going to be a year of cleaning through some of your back catalog, and it's going to be a year of still getting really excited for the next console. I think Nintendo has positioned itself really well, and I do think it will inevitably be the #1 selling hardware video game console until someone dethrones it. So, yeah.
Can't wait for that June Direct.
Yeah. So other couple pieces of Nintendo news. They sent out a tweet yesterday saying stop. You're gonna stop tweeting. You're gonna stop Xing from your console. So that's not a huge shock there. They're not the first platform to have taken away their basically Twitter API integration.
They're probably the last one.
Yeah, I think they're the last one.
Yeah, and I mean, most people are speculating this is because Twitter has jacked up the prices for the API, and that it's just not worth it anymore. I mean, they're probably monitoring how much traffic this is getting.
Yeah.
And I think in our circles on X, this is we see it because we follow a lot of people who use the Switch. But I wonder how many people are seeing it outside of those circles. What is Nintendo seeing there?
I do like taking screenshots; those are fun.
I do too,
right? And I do like posting them. But I'm not
It's something the licensing fee for the API now is something like $40,000 a month.
Wow.
And as cumbersome as it is to, send it to your phone, I still prefer that method because I have more control over my tweet and or other social media posts.
Well, and I like it because I like having those pictures on my phone.
Yes.
And not having to go to X. And I'd like to circle back around to the Nintendo World Championships for just a minute, because I think this is a really cool release. I love the fact that they're hyping it up and doing a deluxe edition with this. Of course, other regions, not say other regions, Europe's getting the same package we are, but Japan's getting the package with original Famicom art cards plus 2 Famicom controllers with it for the same price we're paying for a digital, a reproduction card.
They get the Famicom controllers too?
Yep. They don't get the cartridge.
Exactly.
The cartridge. They get 2 Famicom controllers with their package. Yeah.
Yep, two Famicom with rails.
which is, and actually because of the yen conversion to dollars, it actually works out to about $60 for all of that. So basically, you're getting Nintendo World Championship for free because that's what the controllers cost. Amazon Japan. They will ship to America. However, I love that this. So let's just talk this speed running. There's a speed running mode, but there's also an 8-player party mode where you can play against each other on screen and complete these challenges like almost like a party game. It covering 13 titles: Balloon Fight, Donkey Kong, Excite Bike, Ice Climber, Kid Icarus, Kirby's Adventure, Metroid, all 4 NES Super Mario games, which is Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3, and the Lost Levels, and Zelda 1 and 2. This will be out on July the 18th. And as of earlier this evening, pre-orders for the deluxe edition are still available in America at Best Buy. And I also believe they're available at GameStop as well. Amazon has not surfaced here in the States. So it'll probably come later, but it looks like Nintendo has a pretty healthy supply of these. Either that or just the demand is not what they thought it would be. I love this idea because I was just saying to somebody the other day what a shame it was that we had not gotten an NES remix on the Switch. And this is kind of it, right?
Yep.
Well, the remix, doesn't it? If I remember correctly, it remixes the games with other games, though. So there's that aspect that we're missing.
Not everything. Part of it is kind of like these quick, do this small task
Right.
in 10 seconds. But yeah, but they also did things like play a Donkey Kong level with Link that you can't jump.
Right.
And
yeah.
those were weird.
Yes. And I was hoping one day we'd get a SNES remix. But I don't know.
I think that maybe something like that's coming because the way it's worded, Nintendo World Championships NES edition.
I was going to say the same thing.
That would be awesome.
You get a SNES edition, Game Boy edition.
Yeah.
Nintendo 64 edition. I don't know. I'm excited about this. The digital version of the game is $29.99, or you can buy the deluxe set, which has art cards, pins, and for us here in the States, in Canada and Europe, it has the reproduction cartridge. It's a gold cartridge that says Nintendo World Championships on it, with the original Nintendo NES plastic sleeve that used to come with the games.
Will it have dip switches on them?
I don't think it has those.
I don't think it did, but I think that'd be funny if it did.
So $59.99 for that. A little bit more if you're in Canada. And that was our big news.
$80 for Canada.
That's our
big Nintendo news.
Yeah.
But I Justin, you alluded to this earlier. Let's talk a little bit about what else we've heard this week. And this is maybe Nintendo adjacent because I think you and I, in particular, I don't know about the rest of the guys, were hopeful that we would see a game called Hi-Fi Rush come to Switch when Microsoft first did their presentation, said, hey, 4 games are coming to other platforms. And we know that we've gotten Pentiment and Grounded.
Rylan, I'll take mine, please.
So far. I don't know that we'll get Sea of Thieves. PlayStation got that. Hi-Fi Rush also came to PlayStation. Even though Hi-Fi Rush was rated for Nintendo Switch in Australia about a month ago, this week Microsoft shuttered Tango Gameworks, which was responsible for Hi-Fi Rush, as well as other games like Tokyo Ghostwire and I believe The Evil Within. Also Arcane Studios, which developed the much maligned Redfall, which fell way short of its titles, and supposedly from the rumblings, even more cuts are coming in a year that has already just been devastating for people in the video game industry. Interestingly enough, after all this has happened, Microsoft makes the statement, we need smaller games that make more impact.
And awards.
And get awards. Hi-Fi Rush has a 90 on Metacritic.
90 on Metacritic and was like touted as like a potential game of the year.
Yeah.
And actually got awards.
I don't know what they want. Let's sit in the pocket here and talk about this for a minute. I think it's extremely disappointing, especially if all of this just winds up being cannon fodder or wood for the fire of Call of Duty.
And yes, this is a Nintendo show. We are pundits of the video game industry. And so we are not just consuming all Nintendo news.
Oh, Justin's locking up again.
We're thing.
Justin, you're having a little bit of you're fluctuating there, so not sure what's going on with your internet. They don't want you to talk about the bad stuff. That's what the internet's trying to stop you from talking about. The bad
Xbox
stuff.
is fantastic. It's the greatest system ever made.
Yep, it's not no pauses there.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, so far
no pauses there.
As he pauses again.
This
you might want to drop and come back, Justin.
Yeah, we'll get your stuff back in a minit here. So, because you're breaking up too much there.
I really want to talk about this, and I don't want him to miss it. I don't want anybody to miss it. I'll take the opportunity while Justin's kind of maybe dropping off and reboot and to refresh his connection. To say this, that and this might be controversial, maybe not. But I said this on X earlier this week. I blame Game Pass for this. And I think that this is a consequence, or this is the inevitability of what Game Pass has brought us to. Most games that have launched on Game Pass, like day one, have not achieved the sales that they wanted to. And I want to cite this post from Brad Hildebrand, who was a public relations and communications leader. He also used to be a ex-Microsoft and EA employee. And here's what he wrote. He said, there are two reasons why all those Bethesda studios closed, and neither of them have anything to do with Bethesda directly: Game Pass and Activision. The biggest paradox with Game Pass is that basically every game that launches on the service badly misses its sales goals. Makes sense, though. Why pay full price to buy a game when you can simply play it for quote-unquote free as part of a subscription? This is accounted for somewhat by attributing portions of revenue to top-performing Game Pass games every month, but there are factors working against games, namely the fact that most games don't stay at the top of the charts for long, and also that Game Pass growth has stagnated. So games like Hi-Fi Rush, which is incredible, mind you, gets a very small bump in revenue from being the hot Game Pass game for a month. Then it falls off a cliff when everyone moves on to the next thing. Poor Redfall had it even worse since it launched so rough it never even had a chance. And that is my point, is that while Game Pass sounds like an incredible deal and an incredible service, it's actually causing us to discard games so incredibly fast that the developers are not getting their due. And whereas before they got sales from ads and commercials and magazine articles, and then they got the actual $50 sale or whatever, now it's, well, it looks cool, but I'm kind of not sure about it, so I'll just check it out on Game Pass when it comes there.
I want to call out something here. Solo says, this is funny. 2 years ago, it seems like everyone would not shut up about how great Game Pass is the best thing for gaming right now. I'm going to say the following thing, Solo. You're not wrong. Game Pass is the best deal for gaming for the consumer. It is great for the consumer, price-wise. But the cost of it, we are now seeing. We are now seeing the cost of it at developer level.
Can I just throw something in there too, though? I thought the argument was that we had too many AAAs, that there was too much, it was oversaturation of games, that not enough people to be able to play them, and that's why games keep spinning out of, like people are playing like a couple weeks, get through that game, and then they're already on to the next thing that released instead of taking the time.
And I would say that I agree with that point, Tim, but I think that what we're seeing is that Game Pass is really contributing to that. And like we heard in that thing I just read, it's hot for a week or two, and then something else has come out, whether it's an indie or a AAA
I think that
game.
does that without Game Pass, though.
Well, it's
'Cause
yeah.
I think Game Pass is just so I understand what everybody's talking about. Yes, Game Pass could be a factor, but I think regardless of Game Pass, there's still a ton of games out that people are trying to play all of. And then you got the social media aspect or the streaming aspect of it. So everybody wants to play what the streamers are playing. Streamers on a game, they're going to play that for a couple weeks and then they move on to the next thing. And then, oh, my favorite streamers moved on to the next game. I'm going to play that too. So yes, Game Pass is a factor because yes, I can go and try that game out if I'm paying the Game Pass price and then not pay that $50 mistake if I don't like the game, you know.
I think there is, I think, and here's what I would say, Tim. I think it is where the video game industry is currently, and this is, and I want to be very clear, although we are right now having a conversation about Xbox, just rewind the tape for the last 12 months, right? And the amount of layoffs that are occurring in the video game industry, the amount of shuttering of studios, the amount of talent that is leaving. We are right now at the 5,000 foot view having a conversation about Game Pass and Xbox. I think if you take a 30,000 foot view, there is a systemic problem in the industry holistically. Right. And I do think some of those things, to your point, Tim, are 100% correct. Right. So like there isn't just one thing to be like, that's the problem we need to fix. There are a multitude of problems that need to be fixed. Right. And you think of, and again, great example, it was like, games that are long development cycles that have to meet a metric that is almost immeasurable, right?
Yeah, you
like
spent $100 million to make a game, and then you're not making those numbers.
Get that back, right? Yeah. And you're like, oh man, this was a ton of fun. They're like, yeah, didn't sell enough. And you're like, so the metric that we are associating with success, especially the AAA level, is so huge. There was a report today, something along the lines of like Warner Brothers is calling like a $200 million loss this year or this quarter, and they're associating it with the Kill the Justice League game. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Right. Games have become so big, so much time, so much energy, the things that we expect of them, that they have to hit a number that is almost insurmountable. But the thing is, all of these companies are putting out games that are massive. And so
it all ends up being a self-fulfilling prophecy because they know they need to make more money, so they turn it into a live service game with passes, which the gamers are starting to frown upon.
That's the other thing. They're trying to chase money. They're trying to make the money that they're like, oh, this particular kind of genre makes money. So we need to turn our game into this service thing that will hopefully make money.
I would have loved to see,
and then they make it worse in the process.
And so there's a couple scenarios here. I would have loved to see, had Hi-Fi Rush actually come out on the Switch, let's say 6 months ago, right? What would those sales numbers have looked like? Because I think here's the thing that and for those of you that like follow our Twitter account, Tuesday I was pissed about this. There's a lot of angry tweets from Justin on there that you can see. But like February, Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, Sarah Bond have a conversation of like, we're moving 4 games to different platforms because we believe there's an opportunity. Awesome. Wow. Yeah. That sounds great. Love it. I'm looking forward to these games. You release Hi-Fi Rush in middle of March to PlayStation, and then you're done with it. Right? Like the game won't be supported anymore. Like you've taken it out to die. Now, here's the other interesting thing that they ended up saying. One of the questions that was asked was like, why were Tango Works and
Arcane?
Thank you, Arcane. Why were they the ones that were sort of taken out to field? Right? Because exactly, Matt's like, we need smaller games that are critical hits. And I'm sure someone's like, what the F? You had Hi-Fi Rush. What are you doing? And the statement is essentially, Arcane and Tango Works were beginning to start to pitch their new content. So hold on a second. They hadn't began investing time, energy, and money at a high scale production level that was already a sunken cost. So there was nothing in the pipeline for them. So they're the ones that we can release, essentially. Holy troublesome. right? So what about Hellblade coming out in 2 weeks from now, right? Well, that company, after they do some patches, after they do it, what's in the pipeline? Asher, look at, we got nothing for 4 months or 4 years. Really? Come on up to the top, right? Let's have a call. Let's have a call about this, shall we? And the reality is, and I think you're right, Marty, the time and the energy and the money is now going to shift to the cheese pizza of video games, which is, we decide to not take risks anymore. We decide not to be unique. We decide not to be different. We decide not to try something outrageous that nobody saw. The creativity of artistry is now being lost due to these decisions because of multi-conglomerates coming together. I said this earlier. Why do we give Embracer Group so much shit for the last 18 months, and then Xbox just pulls this? Right? Like, PS, there's as many people now probably that are like done that Embracer had done.
There's people all over social media. They're rushing to defend Xbox.
Yeah.
Oh, but you don't know. And I even saw a tweet today that said Phil Spencer and somebody else, whoever's over PlayStation now, I can't remember his
Jim
name.
Ryan.
I thought he left.
Oh, no, you're right. I can't remember who it is. Go ahead.
So it's like, this is literally what it said. Phil Spencer and the guy over PlayStation and Shigeru Miyamoto don't care about you. And somebody tweeted and was like, don't lump Miyamoto in with that. He's not a CEO. He's not like, he's, and the crazy thing about it is, even Kit Ellis spoke to this earlier today, 12 hours ago, tweeted, and this was, to me, this is a bombshell like tweet. He said, it's never been more clear that indie games are carrying the video game industry right now.
100%. What was the conversation this week about? Okay, so this is a whole lot of conversations, but let me back one up. Here's the Xbox problem. Oh, the reason why, in Phil we trust, right? Like Phil, I'm Gamer's Game, and I suspect this has been a hard week for him. I'm not doubting that.
Oh, sure.
Right? But he has always sort of had this, like, we are doing what's best for the fans. We're doing best for these things, right? Well, stop. Like, you've got to do what's best for your employees also, right? And I'm sure that this isn't a decision he want to make, but he's put himself so out there as like the face, the voice, the people, right? That it feels like you have trusted someone,
like a betrayal. It feels like a betrayal.
You. Right. And so that's the anger around this. And this is the frustration. And I think the other part of it is, like, you spent how much money on Activision Blizzard? Reminder, $69 billion, right? So guess what? What is the most vanilla flavored game out there? The monetization model that we do, it's Call of Duty. It's Call of Duty. So now we know that that's a success. We know that makes money. So now are you just going to like recycle every team to be a Call of Duty machine? Like, is that what's going to happen here? Because
you just showed already so many game studios and then, to the Call of Duty machine.
And then you look back, and then so this is the bringing in all of these game companies, right? The amalgamation of all of these things. Xbox throwing its big money around doing things like this, right? What game has been in our conversation this entire week that's an indie game? Hades 2 early access, done by Supergiant, and they are having a banger of a week, and nobody owns them, right? And going back to Kit's commentary right now, indie games are carrying the industry, but indie games that are not being bought up by other organizations. Because if Hi-Fi Rush had come up by Tango by itself, that'd be an indie game. We'd all be excited for it and be on every platform, but it has become sucked into this grinder that is destroying creativity. And we are losing industry information, knowledge, and skills at a staggering rate.
A few things I want to speak to you on that point. Another tweet I saw was that the amount of money that Microsoft paid for Activision, they broke it down, and it was like that could pay for all of the employees at Arcane and Tango their salaries for 4,600 years.
Yeah,
that's crazy to me. The second thing that I want to throw out here is adjacent to this. Marvel made an announcement this week, or Disney made an announcement this week about Marvel that said moving forward, they will only release up to 3 Marvel movies and 2 Marvel shows per year.
Saturation of the market.
And they have dealt with the same thing. I mean, what is the last phase of Marvel looked like for Disney? A bunch of flops, a bunch of stuff that nobody has bought into. And what I'm afraid is going to happen is what's happened to the music industry will happen to video is, and it's already here. It's happening to video games, that all of the stuff that's mainstream is the stuff that's quote unquote money.
Yeah.
And all of the quality is below the surface, maybe even marketed by the artists themselves. It's going to go to what it's going to do is it's going to give a huge boost to crowdfunding. It's going to give a huge boost to like Kickstarter, stuff like that, because the money titles are just going to be that, like, what is it going to, what's the derivative that it comes down to? Yearly iterations of sports titles
Call of Duty
and big AAA games that somehow manage to eke out a profit over their huge bloated budgets.
Yeah.
That all end up looking the same and all end up playing the same.
Yeah. And I think this is sort of the challenge that we have.
What I really want is games like that take risks. And I think if most people would be honest about that, that's what they would want too, because games that take risks are the games that transport us to another place.
Yeah.
Like Animal Well. Like if you would like try selling that as like a mainstream game, it's it's not, right? But that game even is a game that people, it's a passion project for people. Mm-hmm. They develop their own studio to get it made.
I think this is and this is why people are upset about this, right? This is such an example of, and I'm sorry to say it, business be business, right? And we as consumers, pundits, and fans sometimes wrap ourselves up in this idea that like, no, Phil's a great guy. He loves us. No, I'm sure that Nintendo would do what's best for me because of my nostalgia, because of my memory, because of I'm a consumer. I'm like, and we would love those things to be true. Ultimately, these organizations are abiding to a stock price and stockholders. And that's what they care about. Right? The fact that they can foster creativity and games and meet those things. Awesome. Great. Love it. Right? Yay. We're all winning. But when one of those things comes out of balance, the one that will never lose out is the money. The business will never lose out. It will always be, everything else will be sacrificed in lieu of that thing. And no greater have we seen that than Embracer Group. No greater have we now seen that than Microsoft of what's going on, right? In Xbox. So, you're 100% right, Marty. Like the indies are the ones that are surviving this organization. My only hope now is that somewhere this is like a toll bell for any person who receives that knock, knock, knock from big companies, like from, hey, hi, my name's Mark and I work for PlayStation. I'm curious if you'd like to have a conversation about maybe Supergiant Games joining our company. We think it'd be great. We'd love to buy you. And like Phil, Tim Schafer has talked about when Double Fine was purchased by Xbox, it like, hey, great. I don't need to like hustle. I don't like, they worry about that stuff now, right? Like I can just be artists being artists. Well, artists can't be artists when the money ain't there. And ultimately the rubber hits the road. And so I think any small indie company is concerned. And I think for us as consumers, if you see a company you like, and I think to your point earlier, sometimes Marty, we poke at Kickstarter, like, why are you doing that? Right. Why is Mina the Hollower being funded on Kickstarter when like yacht clubs could definitely do it? Right. And they're grand. You know what? Let's stop asking that question. Just being like, hey, you know what? Yes, you're an indie and you're not selling out to somebody else. How can I ensure that you are still kicking it in a couple of years from now? And so I think that's what we as consumers need to do. Yeah. And so that's sort of my soapbox.
I just wonder if one day we're going to be, 20 years from now, in our twilight years, and there's going to be a documentary about Microsoft focusing on Xbox. Is there any company that has ever had the momentum that they had coming out of Xbox 360 that has fumbled the bag worse than Xbox? And repeatedly, like they like, if you want to take a term that the the youths are using right now. The Xbox One killed whatever aura they had. They managed to get it back with this, by the end of the One's life cycle. And there's been this upswing of Phil Spencer's my friend. He's playing nice. Cuphead's on different systems, blah, 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 blah. Ori and the Will and Wisps. And, oh, look, they're playing nice with everybody. And then they just crap the bed.
Yep.
Repeatedly.
Yeah, this is I mean, that's exactly it, right? Like they just, business is business, unfortunately. And, I think it will be very interesting to see what happens at Xbox's showcase that's coming up here in June, right? Plus they've got the Call of Duty Direct right after that. I think I saw earlier that Sarah Bond is out doing a little bit of a PR tour right now on Bloomberg regarding all of it. I'm sure I wouldn't be sure. I don't know.
She has the worst job in the games industry right now.
Yeah, right now. And so it's so I think someone earlier in the chat, I think someone asked, so like, so does this mean that Hi-Fi Rush is not coming to Switch? Highly doubt it. Now, Xbox owns the rights.
They could give it to another developer.
They 100% could.
But they'd have to literally figure out the code from scratch.
100%.
So
I've been delivered code written by someone else, and that's not fun to go through.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, let's round out this with just some reminders about upcoming games. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door out on May 23rd, Luigi's Mansion June 27th. For third-party games, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes is out on May 16th. Braid, the anniversary edition or remaster is out on May 15th. Star Wars Hunters, June 14th. Monster Hunter Stories, June 14th. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance is out June 14th. Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble, June 25th. And Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, on October 10th. And then again, as we've already mentioned, June, we'll see a Nintendo Direct where we'll get lots more announcements about what's coming for the rest of this year. Also, Paper Trail has been given a date of May 21st, and that rounds out our news.
And that's a delay. It was originally an April game.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That's why I put it on the notes.
Good deal. Let's take a quick break or an ad break from our good friends over at Manscaped.
Hi, folks. Support NINDADS is brought to you by Manscaped. Hey there, beach babes. Are you ready to soak up the summer vibes and unveil your total ultimate beach body? Well, you're in luck because our friends over at manscaped.com have you covered from head to toe, dude, with the bodaciously Performance Package 5.0. This ultimate all-in-one groomer kit is set to have you looking and feeling your best in the summer sun. So trust Manscaped like I do, bruh, and unlock the confidence you need to turn heads this season, man. And just keep your vibe and riz going, bruh, because beach body time is summertime. Guns out, babes, guns out. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust manscaped.com and get some free shipping by using the promo code NINDADS, NINDADS, for 20% off and free shipping. Let's make this summer your smooth as ever, bro. Just like my body, just like my surfboards, we're smooth, no hair. Manscaped.com, dude, bruh. Back to you.
Wow.
Inferno asks, is that Californian or West Canadian?
I'm going to be honest with you. It was California, and then it definitely migrated. The further I went along into it, and it was, yeah.
I am impressed at your commitment to the whole thing. Really, really.
I have to jump though, but thank you. I wanted to come into the news, do that stuff.
Thanks.
Bye.
We'll see you. As he jumps off, let's talk about our question of the week. Here it is, and this is kind of meant to dovetail with the Switch 2 guess quote unquote reveal. I don't know, news. Here it is. Nintendo's success has banked them a vast war chest of funds, and you have been tapped to create a new peripheral for their upcoming system. It must be new. It must be unique. It can have a game attached to it. What would you create? And before we get to everybody's answers, I want to say some of you do not understand what the word peripheral means. And
or new and unique.
Yeah. I'm disappointed. You should be ashamed of yourselves. This is your English lesson for the week. Peripheral means accessory. Unique means new and or exciting, never before seen. Thank you. Here we go. While the three of us will get to our answers here in a minute, Mecca says, I'd use that money to help Nintendo get an actual VR headset that isn't made of cardboard. Think how fun their games would be with actual VR. They wouldn't. Anyway, Hoots says, does anyone remember Google Glass, also known as the Google goggles? A set of glasses that had a tiny projector in one of your eyes. Not quite VR, but it put a screen or UI in your vision while you walked around and did stuff. I'd make that, but for Nintendo games, have the projector and the glasses be just discreet enough to not tip anyone off I'm playing games at work. Victaris GX says, I'd bring back the power pad, but hear me out. Instead of just a bunch of buttons on the floor, it would be a complete haptic experience. You can explore a 3D environment by leaning or sliding in any direction, and vibrations in the mat would alert you to objects coming up in your position. Different postures would also be integrated into gameplay, like taking a knee to crouch or lying forward to crawl.
You combine that with the VR, and then now you have chat. You have VR chat.
Yep. Look, I love the idea and I love the energy, but it just sounds too much like exercise. And yeah, exercise, extra fries. It's the same thing. Richard Escobar says, not a peripheral, but a better Nintendo app for mobile that enhances the experience of connecting to your console. It also reintroduces Street Pass within the app and has Street Pass games. The app also connects to your health app, so Nintendo can help gamify health and fitness. All of this data is uploaded to your console to track and compete with others. I actually really like that idea.
So his peripheral is a 3DS.
Yeah. It's just an app now. It's an iPhone DS. Hambo Johnny says, I want this one. You can always count on Hambo. He says, I want a Nintendo Katana paired with some sort of samurai game, or even some sort of Zelda spinoff, or even compatible with Skyward Sword. Slap a Joy-Con in the hilt and one tilt and one towards the tip of the blade, and I think they could do something cool with motion controls. Yes. I want a Katana game.
I think that's the best answer here.
Yeah,
but we still have a few more to go.
I like it. Zablanc says, I want Nintendo to make a hand prosthetic or glove that serves as input control. Imagine controlling a racing game as if you're turning a steering wheel or fighting Bald Bull and doing a jumping punch to really hit him in the head. It would be awesome, and they could even promote it with the movie. It would be so rad. And yes, I mean a Switch Power Glove, unique because it would actually work. I love it. I actually had a friend.
I owned a Power Glove.
I had a friend named Jason who had a Power Glove, and we tried it with Rad Racer because he also had that game. I'd never seen it before, like somebody actually own it. And we actually just ended up taking it off and playing it with the controller that was built into the top of it.
Yeah. That actually had you had to mount 3 sensors to the TV. I don't know if they were IR or what, but that was how it got the motion to supposedly work, which it very rarely did.
Solo is our last entry here. He says a mini tablet of sorts that would actually connect to the Switch when docked to upload save data onto the Switch dock itself and be able to stream on your TV. This tablet would allow photo capture, creating works of art or music, and sharing with others by providing friend codes. This way you can change the background of your Switch to pictures with friends, personal abstract works of art, or stream your own created given music to relax with. I'm sure Nintendo could come up with a social game to complement this tablet. Really cool. Great answers, guys. What about y'all? Jesse, Tim, what would be your
I wasn't able to think of a peripheral either, but more of a software enhancement is I want a more fine level of gameplay history like the Wii and the 3DS and the DS had.
Okay. I like that.
New peripheral could think of, I had a couple in mind. Some of them were already mentioned here, but one is an attachment that would attach to the new Switch or a successor so that you could connect your phone to it and use it as a second screen.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So you could actually have DS games.
Yep. Yes.
I like that. I like that. For me, it would be
You can play.
something that y'all Ginky is actually pursuing this. I don't know if you saw their April Fool's joke this year, which was like a thing that sat on top of your TV and emitted smells for video
On top of the
games.
Switch, yeah. It's actually not an April Fool's. It came out April Fool's Day, but
Yeah,
they
they're
kept
actually
saying,
pursuing this,
yeah.
and they said since so many of you have asked for it, we're going to find a way to make it happen. So that's it. Immersion. I want Nintendo's smell game.
Stay away from WarioWare with that game.
Yeah,
Wonder
it's
what a
just
mushroom smells like. A one-up
mushrooms.
mushroom.
I always used to think that they would smell like lime because they're green, you know. So yeah, great answers, guys. We'll be back with more community spotlight in a bit. Let's take a time out. Tim, what's your timeout for the week?
So a couple things. A couple weeks ago or in April, they Extra Life had a tabletop weekend.
Yes.
And I was able to participate, and we had some very generous people in the community who donated to Extra Life. So I was able to get the glass 20-sided die,
Ooh,
which is really awesome. So I was able to make the cut for that, and I think that time is over now to get this one, I think. But there is another thing going on that we talked about internally that we're going to probably try to go for. Each of us are going to try to go for, which is going to be a lot to ask for from the community and anybody who that you want to share outside the community. But it's to try to get each one of us the ability to raise $2,000 each, because Extra Life has a pro controller that for the Switch that they are going to have with Extra Life colors and everything like that. If you raise over $2,000 in Extra Life funds, you get the controller. So each one of us would love to do that. So that's going to be our probably our challenge for this year is we were able to break, that in 2022 the $10,000 mark. So we had 11,000 something dollars. Each of us getting $2,000 each would be over 8,000, would be 8,000, obviously. So it certainly is possible, but we understand that it is economy and all that kind of stuff can be crazy. So we're going to try to shoot for it. Each one of us is going to try to raise $2,000 and hopefully get enough to obviously help our hospitals, but also get rewarded, I guess, in our own way by getting those pro controllers because we think they're kind of cool. I'm
yeah,
sure
they
we'll
look
have a
awesome.
post. We'll have a post out on that as we get closer and what our goals are for that. And we'll of course have prizes and all that to try to draw some people to donate. And again, this is all for the kids, and it just so happens that we get a bonus out of it for trying to work so hard and raising that much money. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I wanted to share that. So
Very cool. My timeout for the week is just a plea, just a request, really not a plea, but a request for you to go and open up YouTube on your phone or on your computer as you listen, and go follow my son's new YouTube channel. He is doing gaming videos. Now, previously, he had one called Red Warrior Network, but that was actually, he was younger then, and we were kind of supervised, and like it was tied to my wife's email address because he didn't have one yet, but now he's got his own, and his channel is Konoy, Konnoy. And there are two Konoys on YouTube, unfortunately, but he is the one with a cat wearing a Dr. Pepper hat. Yeah, and he just put up a FNAF video tonight, and so y'all be kind,
Wouldn't you
be
like to
gentle.
be a Pepper too?
Follow and subscribe. He's really trying to, get better at streaming, and he's doing all the editing of his own videos and thumbnails and things like that. I'm really proud of him that he's trying that out. So now that we have internet at home, he can do those here. He has his own microphone set up and camera and all that. And so I just
Subscribed.
yeah, thank you. If you could go and follow him, KONNOY, and look for the Dr. Pepper Cats. I know he would be thrilled if he got some subs. And really, what he's wanting to do is get over the 100 mark there, so that he could do actual live streams on YouTube, because he can't do that right now. All of his content is just pre-recorded. So
Right now, he's got 8 subscribers now that I added mine. So
well, thank you.
He's got. Let's get together and see if we can get him over that
92 to
100.
go.
Yeah, let's get him over that 100.
Yeah. So that would be great. Thank you guys, everybody that goes over there and do that. Let's talk about some events. And really what I meant to say was our community spotlights, because we're kind of starting to combine our community spotlight with our questions and events. And so, Tim, why don't you take it away and talk about what we've got going on and what's coming up?
Sure. So we announced this last week.
Hello,
A couple.
everyone. Welcome back.
All right. Normally, when I click on a YouTube video, it doesn't auto start, but for some reason, this one auto started.
It's like, wait,
Oh.
It's
where
like,
did
why do
Isaac
I
come
hear my
from?
son?
I was trying to find his YouTube page so I could put it in the chat and in the descriptions.
Gotcha. All right. So as I was saying, last week we announced a couple giveaways. So we're just going to remind everybody we have the latest giveaways is going to be the Paper Mario 1000-Year Door giveaway for our Patreon and Twitch subscribers. And that's all you got to be is subscribe to us via Patreon or Twitch, and you get entered for a chance to win this game. As simple as that. That's the simple giveaway. The little bit more harder giveaway is you get a chance to win the Neo S controller, which is the Famicom colored one. And all you got to do is check out the unboxing video we have on our channel, and then also submit a clip of your favorite moment in our podcast on YouTube. So go to YouTube. Go if you got one that you remember, try to go back to find your favorite memory of that, take a clip of it and submit it via our Discord channel, the Neo S Contest 24 channel, or email it to nintendodads@gmail.com, and you'll be entered for a chance to win this controller right here. Hopefully it doesn't get blurred out too much here, but this one here, it's right here in the box. And if it's like the other one where I scanned it and I got below 100 for the rarity of these, it's a possibility that may be also a rare controller under 100 if you're into that kind of thing. Also, too, as a bonus, you'll get a eShop card with it as well. So again, this is to celebrate our 10 years of Nintendo Dads podcasting. We want some clips from your favorite moments throughout the 10 years. So it might be kind of difficult. You may have some favorites that you're like, okay, how do I find that? But do your best, submit a clip, and you'll be entered in the drawing for a Neo S controller and eShop card.
And just to add to that, those Neo S controllers, fantastic. I just got one this week. And so, especially if you were a fan of the NES square controllers back in the day, or rectangle, it's a lot of nostalgia. And the program, I love. Tim, I know you talked about it last week, but I want to highlight being able to connect the controller to an app on your phone to program the buttons and update the firmware. Super easy and so accessible. It works like a charm.
Just be able to program those back buttons and what you need them for, and it's pretty cool.
What's the deadline for that, by the way?
That is going to be May 22nd at midnight, but really it doesn't
So,
matter about
2
midnight because
weeks.
yes. So, but yeah, get your clips in by May 22nd, the end of the day there, and we will then do a drawing and let you know if you want it. All right. And then also we have tomorrow night, actually, or tonight, depending on when you're listening to this, Friday night NSO, which we do every second Friday of the month at 10 p.m. Eastern. There's a few of us that get together and we play some multiplayer games at NSO. And one of those is that new Pac-Man game I was talking about earlier in the what we've been playing. That's on deck for me is the Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle Chomp Champs. We're going to try to play that on that, and plus some of the other, I think there's some new NSO games. But remember, NSO covers not just the classic games, but also being able to play games online. So we are open to community feedback. So if there's a bunch of people that come in there and say, hey, I don't have this game, but I'd love to play some Mario Kart, we usually end up throwing on some Mario Kart. So if especially for the community that comes in, we usually get games going on Friday Night NSO in Discord, but then we stream it too for people who aren't in our Discord to see. So again, that's every second Friday. So we'll be doing that. And then there's our Sunday streams, which Marty, I know you ran into some issues this past Sunday, but you're hopefully going to be back on track
this week.
Yes.
Should be returning this week as long as nothing happens with The Legend of Super Mario.
So Sunday Night Live is at 7 p.m. Central. So you can check that out every Sunday when Marty can do that. And then we also have the table every third Friday of the month at 10 p.m. Eastern, where the community gets together and we chat about whatever's on our mind and just basically just a bunch of people get together and just talk about things they need to get off their chest. And it's been very therapeutic, I heard. So, and then last but not least, monthly retro logic rewinds that we have every month. This one took a couple months long, and that's for Pokemon X or Y. You get to play that, submit your Pokedex for a chance at winning a $10 eShop card of your choice. So we got a bunch of stuff going on in our Discords, and hopefully you'll be able to participate. That's what we got going on in events and contests.
Awesome. So let's move over to our questions from the community. We've got a few of those and a couple of voicemails. So why don't you wrap us up there, Tim?
All right, let's we're going backwards. Jesse, let's go ahead and play our voicemails.
Okay. This one I'm not they say who they are, but it's hard to understand, so I'm not 100% sure.
Hey Nintendo Dad, this is Blaze calling. I was just curious, what video game consoles have you held on to from the past, and which ones do you regret getting rid of the most? I've kind of collected consoles over the years and like to hold on to all my old consoles, but the one that got away from me is that Super Nintendo. That's the one console that I don't have that I can't play cartridges on. But I got all the other ones, the PlayStations and the Nintendos actually. So, just curious, do you guys still have all your old consoles or not? Let me know. Thanks.
All right, that was Blaze.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I always used my old consoles to fuel the purchase of a new one through trade-ins. So
Yes.
NES, SNES, Nintendo 64, all of that has been sent to the wood chipper in view of what's coming down the pike. However, I did keep my 3DS or 2DS XL. So I have that. I will be keeping my Switch unless backwards compatibility is, super on point and everything transfers over. I'll be keeping that. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, I just have current systems right now. Well, except for GameCube. I do have a GameCube for whatever reason. And a Wii U. I've got my Wii U. So yeah, I guess I've got a couple, but man, I do wish I had. Super Nintendo is like my ultimate nostalgia system. Even though I really love the NES, I think the Super NES catalog overall is better. And so I would love to have one and get like a good clean one, non-yellowed in working order and some games.
Yes.
My birthday's next Wednesday.
you, Jesse?
Yeah, I've generally tried to keep all my old systems. I think like my NES got lost or broken somewhere in a move, around when I first got married, and I know I had my Super Nintendo. I remember Matthew playing it when he was like 3, but I think that got busted again because a 3-year-old was playing it. but so pretty much ever since the GameCube, PS2, DS era, I still have something from each console that I've had since then. In fact, my PS2 is still here at my feet. I hope it still boots.
Yeah, for me there was a lot in my family's younger days. There was a lot of times where we had to trade in stuff, or even in my younger days where I had to trade in something like my Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
And all
I
that
did
kind of
get a
stuff.
Retron 5 that can play NES and SNES games, but sometimes they're not great
Yeah, I
because it
forgot
is
about that.
emulation based and you have to rely on the ROM dumper to work right. Sometimes it doesn't
Yep.
work right. And if you try to do like a homebrew repro cart, since it's not in this database as a valid cart, it won't play because
Some of the,
it has to match a checksum with a ROM dump.
right. Yep. One of the couple of the systems that come to mind right away for me is the GameCube, because we had everything for that sucker. We had the Game Boy Player, we had the link cables because we had the SP or the Game Boy Advance, all connecting to that. We had everything for that sucker. And so I wish we would have been able to keep that instead of trading it in for the Wii. But that's what we did. And that's one I wish we could have held on to. And then another one that I sold on eBay that I really wish I would have kept my hands on was the gold Zelda DS that I
I
had,
had that.
along with the feather stylus,
Yep.
with Phantom Menace, not Phantom Menace, not
Phantom Hourglass.
Phantom Hourglass.
I still
With
have
that game.
that stylus somewhere around here.
Oh
You know,
man,
you saying what you wish you really had. I owned
that's beautiful.
I owned a real TurboGrafx 16 back in the day with the Turbo Express, like the handheld
Yes,
system.
nice.
It was the first system that could take your cartridge from the home system and
Right,
take it
right.
on the PC card, like
Card.
a
Yeah,
little
the card.
credit card size game. Y'all, I know that the TurboGrafx did not do well here, but it had some absolute gem games. And I
Mhm.
remember playing the crap out of that. I loved it. The controllers with the built-in turbo, and just the difference. It's the first place I played
That
Fantasy
was
Zone,
PC. That was PC Engine in other regions, right?
the engine everywhere else. Yeah, TurboGrafx 16 here. Keith Courage and Alpha Zones, Legendary Acts 1 and 2, Bonk 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know why I had one. Like I think I was like blame Electronic Gaming Monthly magazine, because they did features on
Right,
everything, and it made me beg my parents for one.
right.
And so when that was on the Wii Virtual Console, and like that was a trip, because those games, you can't get them anywhere
Yeah.
else.
I remember
Yeah.
playing E's Book 1 that way.
Ease 3 was one of the ones I had. I had no clue what I was doing, but I beat it eventually.
That's funny. You stumbled your way through it.
I did.
All right, we got another voicemail from Christian.
Hey guys, it's me, Christian. I need your help. I need your help badly. Guess what? Sunday is Mother's Day, and my wife is on a diet. So that means I can't make her the normal stuff that me and the kids make. I can't make pancakes. I can't make muffins. I can't make crepes. I can't give her chocolate. So help me out, guys. What shall I do for Mother's Day with the kids? How do we give her something special that's not a gym membership and it's not full of carbs? All right, guys. I hope you're having a great day, and good luck on your Mother's Day. See ya.
You can give her chocolate. let me just tell you, my wife has been off of regular sweets for a long time, and she really enjoys Lily's chocolate. It's a certain brand,
Yeah.
Lily, Lily's
I've had
chocolate.
that
It
before.
has no sugar added. It is basically, as it's made with stevia. It's kind of low calorie. They even make gummy bears and sour gummy worms now, like M&M type things. Most Kroger grocery stores have these. I'm sure I think Walmart carry them with that, of course, because they are less sugar and everything. They are more expensive. But my wife's number one like love language is time spent. So we don't do a whole lot of gifts for Mother's Day. We do things together. We do, we spend time with her. And so that's what I would suggest. Or pins. Women love pins. At least my wife does. Like I can always get a win by, hey, like I saw these pins and they really made me think of you.
My wife's been doing the pin thing where she's putting it in her car up on the roof.
Okay.
So she's had pins for a while, but didn't know where to put them. And then recently she just started putting them up there, and it's actually pretty cool to see.
I meant writing pins.
Oh, pens. Okay, sorry.
Pins, like actual pins that you write with. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
My wife likes those too.
Pen.
Yeah. Got
versus pen versus pin. But
yeah.
Vowels are fun.
Yep. No, it's I guess depending on what your wife likes, like it could be, spending time, specifically something memorable, like what you were saying, Marty, or maybe your wife does enough of that and wants time alone, so it's basically taking the kids somewhere and letting your wife be able to do her own thing or have her own time alone at home or somewhere else, if she likes to go somewhere like to Target or Walmart and do shopping without the kids, depending, I guess it just depends on where you're at, where she's at in her life and where that is. Cause age could be a thing too.
To me like she is trying to be very conscious about what she eats.
Yes.
So maybe finding a way to find a place, like doing some research to find a place to take her where the dishes that were served would be more along the lines of what she is looking for right now. Shows that you've taken time to think about her, to care for her. Just an idea.
You also mentioned just carbs. Is this more of she's on a keto diet? If so, you can do a lot of substitutions instead of just using recipes with flour, from wheat. You can use like a coconut flour or an almond flour, and they are more fibery. So they like when you're counting your net carbs, you take your total carbs and you subtract the fiber and you subtract the sugar alcohols like the stevia he mentioned in the chocolates to get the net carbs. So using that type of flour is a lower net carb than using flour from wheat. It is also an acquired taste, and it isn't as good, and it's harder to cook with. But that's something that you can play with. Along the same lines in the chocolates, there's Russell Stover's has a line of sugar-free chocolates, which also uses sugar alcohols as the sweetener instead of traditional sugar or a corn syrup. You want to be careful with how much of that you consume at once, because some people, it affects their digestive system. Well, let's put it that way. So you don't want to eat a whole bag at once. It's one of those things you only want to have a piece or two at a time. But that's kind of what I was thinking with that answer.
Yep. And one of the things that we did recently for Mother's Day was, or not Mother's Day, for my wife's birthday, was because we asked her, is like, you don't want stuff, so what do you want? And she was like, clean out my car really good. and give it a good car wash. So that's what we did. Like took out all the stuff, vacuumed it out, wiped down all the surfaces and cleaned the glass. So it was she appreciated it, seemed like, and then but I did end up buying her something because she liked cross stitching. So I bought her a nice set of floss for stitching. So
I want to point out something in our chat that's following along with us as we record live. Quag says, "This is the Dr. Mario physical Switch cartridge I would buy as a Mother's Day gift if I had one." And then he said, "Seriously, we're on year 8. Where's Dr. Mario?" Fun story. I actually bought my wife the NES Classics Game Boy Advance Dr. Mario game back in the day because in 22 years of marriage, I've secretly and not so secretly been trying to turn her into a gamer, and it has not worked. And she opened it up and went, "Why did you buy me Dr. Mario?" I was like, "Because you like Dr. Mario. It'll be fun." She's like, "Yeah, I guess." So
right.
She didn't play it at all, like maybe one time. And then one day she went to play it and it was gone. Like it was like months later. She's like, "Where's Dr. Mario?" And we got into a huge argument because she wasn't playing the game. So I took it and traded it in because I didn't think she wanted it and used it on another game. And she was like, "That was my game." And I was like, "But you never played it." So we don't gift Dr. Mario in this house. It's just an unwritten rule.
Gotcha.
We don't talk about Dr. Mario. We don't think about Dr. Mario.
Right.
And I replied in the chat that we did have a Dr. Mario. It was just on mobile.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we got a couple of things in regards to the news topics as well. So Jamie says, in my opinion, Furukawa's announcement is the right amount of information to state what's happening within the next 11 months and clearly outlines what information will be presented in the June Direct. Of course, he had a question with that, but I think we answered that through our conversation earlier. So that's why I'm not mentioning the question there, Jamie. So hopefully you got your answer earlier. And then also David asked some questions in regards to the Nintendo Direct, but also mentioned a couple things. Like I think we'll see more ports like 3DS games and remakes coming down the line with one semi-big release for the holidays. Kind of like what we said, I think, too, when we were talking about what could be coming in the June Direct. And he also mentioned the whole Twitter X thing and like, do we use that function? And we talked about that as well. So
I know I used it more like on games that I knew people cared about. Like, I could do it to post my status updates on Picross, but who really cares, right?
there's people who care. They want to know what you're doing in Picross. All right.
I'm up to E6.
Nice.
I just don't talk about it week over week.
Okay. All right. 2 last questions here. One from Zablanc. What is something you don't care about one dang bit?
Oh, wow. A lot.
Yeah. But the first thing that came into my mind was anything Game of Thrones.
Okay.
The first thing that I thought was politics.
That's
I
that's
could
a
care
good one.
less.
Yeah. That is a good one.
Also, anything and I guess people probably already know this, anything sports related that's not college football and pro wrestling, I could give a rip.
So, like my shirt?
Sports ball, great. That's
Sports
awesome. I go and sit through my students' ball games because I love them, not because I love sports.
Right.
Yep.
Makes sense. Like, reminds me of the youngest daughter was in marching band for 3 years. She was there for the band and her friends, but she doesn't know squat about the game. Her boyfriend's a big Chiefs fan and football fan and tries to watch the games, and she doesn't know what dang thing of what's going on.
For me at the time was the NFL draft. Because I think when this question was asked, I really like I had people expecting me to go because it was here in Detroit that I was going to go because I love football. I like the NFL football, but I don't care about things that lead up to things like, you know, people getting drafted and coming from college. I don't follow enough of college to know who the good players are. I don't care who's coming to the team, especially for the Lions. What I care about is come do your job and get us to the freaking Super Bowl. That's what I care about.
It's like I don't care about pancake batter. I like pancakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I don't care who your name is. I'll care once you play good, and then I'll
But
care.
Tim, you didn't care this year that Tony Khan had to be at the NFL draft in a neck brace after taking a pile driver from the Young Bucks the night before on AEW Dynamite?
I didn't even know he was there.
He was working injured, man.
That's awesome.
I love that he sold that. That was total commitment to it. He takes a pile driver on Wednesday night live on TV and then shows up to the NFL draft the next day in a neck brace.
Right.
Yes.
That's fantastic. All right. So, last question. What are some of your favorite and least favorite third-party accessories that you got for your Switch? That question comes from Mecca.
Ooh. I have so many at this point. I'm trying to
favorite and least favorite.
I don't have many. I think most of what I have are various controllers. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good. And
Yeah.
I can't even tell you which ones are which right now.
Two come to mind, one for the good and one for the bad. Early on, when Switch chargers like for Joy-Cons and things were kind of slim. It wasn't Power A, it was Nyko. Like actually, I don't even think they make accessories anymore. Nyko made these things called charge blocks where you could slide 4 Joy-Cons down in there and it had like a little rail and then it would light up.
I bought one of those at launch and I don't think I ever used it.
They had a similar looking one that was molded the same way that had a Pro controller slot on it, and it came with this like little clip that clipped into the USB port on top and had a connector that like touched the base and it would charge. And those were the best chargers. They were super cheap, and the cool part about them was you could take the front off of one of them and like plug them together, and they would run off of one power brick. So I had those forever, and eventually the connector on the Pro controller one it stopped working.
Yeah.
So I had to find something. So I got an all-in-one like little base thing for my table next to where I sit. On the opposite end of that, I don't know who it is. They made this controller that was clear that lit up. Let me see if I can find this because I want to warn people to not buy this. Yes, PDP's Nintendo Switch Afterglow wireless controller is one of the most awful controllers I've ever played with.
Okay.
It felt bulky. Everything was super stiff on it. It felt like you'd press the buttons and they like pop and crack. And I don't know if I just got a bad one or if, it just was not good at all. And I attribute it to it being like completely clear. I felt like I was worried that if I dropped it, that it would bust and shatter into a million pieces because it was made out of clear plastic. Just not my favorite controller at all.
Got it. Anything else on your side, Jesse?
No, I can't think of anything else.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it for our questions.
Awesome. And that's it for our show. I know we've done things a little out of order tonight, but we did that so Justin could get in here. But as we close out episode 477, we want to say a huge thanks to our Patreon producers, Dave Ernsberger, Jacqueline Amira, RJ Kern, Solo Something, and our 90 plus other patrons over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, where you can go and join up and be a part of the greatest community on the internet. Also, special thanks to the 17 Twitch Plus Twitch Prime subscribers that also get access to our Discord. Over 1,448 Twitch followers, and nearly just 9 away from 7,500 YouTube subscribers. Needless to say, what we're saying is thank you to everybody. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. If you listen, if you promote the show, if you've liked us, subscribe to us, thank you so much. Check out our website at nintendodads.org for Spotify podcast feeds for all of our shows. That's Dads After Dark, the Retro Logic family of podcasts, and soon Star Wars Dads, which just debuted episode 0, and they are blasting off to a galaxy near you with lots of great Star Wars takes. Love it when people from our community take something they're passionate about and make a podcast out of it. You can also find all of our YouTube videos and tweets, links to our social media, Patreon, and Extra Life pages, and our merch page over at nintendodads.org. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, manscaped.com, where you can get 20% off your Manscaped order and free shipping with the code NINDADS, NINDADS, and factormeals.com, where you can get 50% off your first order with the code NINDADS50, NINDADS50. You can email us at nintendodads@gmail.com or call in like Christian and Blaze and leave a voicemail at 929-25-NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. Big thanks to OC Remix for the music we use throughout the show. And a reminder, wherever you download us from your favorite podcast catcher app of choice, please leave us a 5-star review, a thumbs up, or whatever the system they use, and some comments. Written words always help, pushes us up the charts, and it's fantastic. For me, for Tim, for Jesse, for Justin, this has been episode 477 of Nintendo Dads. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Check you later.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Do you know who I am?
What's wrong with